Most business owners think to be getting inbound leads 24/7, you need to have a massive brand first. Hundreds of thousands of followers, viral content, years of building an audience. But honestly, you don't. I built an AI chatbot for a sports academy that converted over 200 leads for them within just 3 months, and they had none of that. The one thing that they did have is traffic, and you probably have this too. Let me explain. You see, your website and your socials probably get maybe a couple people who visit, send a DM. Maybe on your website, people show up, search for stuff. You get monthly visits. You might not think this is super massive or super crazy, but this is still traffic. These are people who are literally observing your business, looking for your service or product, and you can probably convert them if you use an AI chatbot built in this specific 7-step framework that I'm about to show you in this video. And so we begin AI lead generation with an AI chatbot. This is the 7-step framework, and it all starts with the hook. So you see, when people visit your website or when they jump into your socials, people think that they will just automatically start talking, automatically start a conversation. But that's not always true. You see, the majority of people who visit your website have probably seen an AI chatbot before in the corner of some other website they've been on. So they'll probably avoid starting a conversation with it. Even on your socials, some people will just show up and say hi, but they're not actually going to start a meaningful conversation, and that's exactly what this portion of your AI chatbot is supposed to do. It's actually one of the most important ones, and you have to make sure you get it right. So essentially, you want the chatbot to start the conversation with the user proactively, and this is done by either asking an engaging question that the user can respond to, or just saying something that a statement, an engaging statement that the user is very compelled to reply to. This is extremely important if you're trying to get people on your website to chat with your AI chatbot, because I guess on social media platforms, messaging is more natural, but when someone is visiting your website, they don't intend to end up in a conversation, right? So you have to get the AI chatbot to pop up and pull them into that conversation and act as the hook to start the conversation going. So just start with an engaging statement or phrase or question, something that the user would find meaningful replying to, and that will be how your AI chatbot first catches the interest of the people who are on your website or your socials. And then from there, we move on to the second thing in the framework, the introduction. Now, most businesses actually make the mistake of forgetting or just intentionally refusing to introduce their AI chatbot as an AI chatbot to users. They try to keep it hidden, especially if it sounds very human-like, so that the users feel like they're interacting with a human. While this is good, it's actually wrong, because you need to be able to tell users that they're talking to an AI. Later on in the conversation, when users do find out that it's an AI all the time, it's kind of underwhelming and feels like a little bit like they've been lied to. You can imagine if you've been talking to someone for a couple of minutes online and then you figure out that it was an AI chatbot. It just feels a bit deceiving compared to if you set the tone from the start and introduce the AI chatbot as a bot, but then also introduce it with a human-like aspect, such as a name, or give it like a friendly introduction message so that it seems friendly and human-like. From there, the user has understood that the conversation is by an AI, but because it sounds so human-like and natural, they are willing to keep on going. And it's this introduction that sets the tone for how the rest of the conversation will flow with your AI chatbot. So please make sure that you get this right. And this is step number 2. If you get it wrong, users will probably leave the conversation immediately, or they will leave later. So you want to make sure that you get this step right with every single chatbot that you build. So we've already covered 2 steps in the framework. Number 1, have a good hook to start the conversation. And number 2, start the conversation with an introduction from the AI chatbot. Now the next steps, starting from step number 3, is how your AI chatbot actually converts its leads. Step number 3 is what I call transitioning. You see, most business owners who get an AI chatbot think that if people are talking to it, it means that they will convert. But that's not always the case, and it's because of this one thing: keeping the conversation going. There's a reason most businesses fail at step 3, and that's because they fail to move the conversation forward towards conversion. We've already introduced ourselves to the user, we've already hooked the user to start the conversation with us. But now we need to transition the conversation into conversion. And how do you do that? Essentially, your AI chatbot has to be proactive. It has to push the user to talk. This is extremely easy actually, and all it entails is using questions or talking about topics that the user is interested in, i.e. things related to their problem, bonus points, for example, for talking about their pain points, because this sets the tone and makes the user feel like they are understood by the AI chatbot. At this stage, essentially, is you want to take the person who's chatting with the AI chatbot from just a visitor or a user into someone who trusts the AI chatbot and is willing to talk to it about their problems, their goals, and the things that they are trying to achieve by buying your product or service. Your AI chatbot can begin to ask questions at this stage of the conversation, but just make sure it's steering it towards conversion by talking about topics and getting the user to respond to topics that are related to your product or your service. Now, this fourth step is extremely important. Otherwise, people will never ever trust your AI chatbot. You see, if your AI chatbot looks generic or gives generic answers, generic responses, or doesn't look like it has expertise knowledge in the industry that you're in, people will never trust it. But this fourth step is the number one way to build trust with the people that talk to your AI chatbot before you convert them. And so step number 4 is demonstrating expertise. You see, inside your AI chatbot, you want to build a detailed and complete knowledge base with information and advice that you would give to customers or clients. This makes your AI chatbot like a top employee in your business who understands your industry, your niche, understands the problems that customers and clients face, can give them genuine advice and feedback, and can genuinely help them get closer to their goals. You see, leads always come into conversations with specific questions. The reason someone visits your website is because they have questions about either your business or your industry that they want answered before they pay you to help them. Your AI chatbot has the role of answering these specific questions and demonstrating top-level expertise to show people that it actually knows what it's talking about and your business is worthy of either working with or buying from, because you guys know what you're talking about. And also, there's bonus points for contextful responses at this stage. What I mean by contextful responses is instead of just responding to the users or the leads or the customers with answers, even if the answers are high quality, to their problems, you want to contextualize those answers to fit their exact question or situation. So let me give you a quick example. Let's say you build an AI chatbot for your marketing agency and someone chats with it and says, I've been trying X, Y, and Z for the last 6 months to try and get leads for my business, but I failed. Instead of your AI chatbot responding with just, here is an alternative thing that you can try, which is what most generic AIs would respond with. Instead, you want it to respond with something that actually contextualizes the feedback and advice to the user's situation. So get this step right and users will trust your AI chatbot and your business, and it will make converting them later on in the conversation so much easier. Now, step number 5 in this framework is qualifying. You see, when you do start to get people to trust your AI chatbot and you give it a good hook and it has an amazing intro, many people will talk to it again and again, especially if it's on a high traffic platform such as your website, if you have many people coming there, or your socials. But what this means is that not everyone who talks to it will be the right person for your business to work with or the kind of person you're trying to sell a product to. And so this stage is how your AI chatbot filters out the people who actually matter and who are actually going to spend money with you, compared to those who are just chatting for the sake of it or who are not yet at the stage to be spending money with your business. There's 2 ways for your AI chatbot to do it. It can be subtle or explicit. When it's subtle, it means that it qualifies the user without asking them questions out loud. And instead, it uses the context from the conversation to understand whether this person is the kind of person who your business wants to work with. So, for example, if earlier in the conversation they had mentioned they're making a specific amount, or they had mentioned that they have tried a certain amount of things in order to fix their problem before coming to you, your AI chatbot can analyze those aspects of the conversations and that information that they've already given to you onto you to decide whether they are worthy of working with your business. But the other way to do it is to just be explicit and to ask them the specific qualification question straight up, i.e., how much have you spent on trying to fix this problem before you came to work with us, or what are you trying right now to fix this problem, etc. So you would just ask them the qualification questions at this point in the conversation. However, I found that users actually enjoy the conversation more when you keep it a little subtle, because that way it doesn't feel like an interrogation when they get to this stage, but instead the AI chatbot just uses previous questions and topics talked about in the conversation to understand whether this is the kind of person that the business wants to work with. But you just need to make sure that at this stage your AI chatbot has clear decision logic and is able to clearly differentiate between those who are right to work with and those who are wrong. Because any mistake at this stage can result in one of two things. Number one, your AI chatbot underqualifies people, so you end up with a bunch of leads that are not actually worth working with in your business. Your AI chatbot overqualifies them and cuts off specific customers from your business just because they didn't fit specific criteria that it's self-determined. So make sure that you give it clear logic at this exact point. Now, the next thing that you need to focus on is the call to action. And I'll tell you this, that this is actually the first thing that you want to plan when building an AI chatbot. Here's why. You see, if you're building an AI chatbot for conversion, you need to actually focus on getting users to take that specific action, meaning the whole conversation structure and framework has to be built around that one action. So let's say you're trying to get people to book an event into your calendar. That would be the first thing you need to determine before you even start building your AI chatbot. That way you can build the introduction, you can build the expertise demonstration, you can build the knowledge, all of that around getting people to take that one action. But you also want to make sure that the action is clear and simple. We don't want to get users to do this and then this and then this, all just to get their details sent to your business. It should be extremely clear. If it's getting them to fill out a form, let it be that. If you want them to book an appointment with your business, let it be that. And you can do that in your AI chatbot or send them to an external link. Whatever it is, just make sure that it's clear and simple so that someone can take it very quickly and with little hassle. This is how you get the most conversions out of your AI chatbot. Now, there's actually bonus points if the user doesn't have to leave the chat to convert. What I mean by this is if you don't have to send the user out to a different link to book an appointment or fill out a form, they are more likely to convert. Because if you think about it, if you're chatting with someone and then they send you a link and you have to open that link and then type your information there, it's just another point where the user can get distracted at, or where you can just lose track of something. Someone might call you and you forget to complete the form. You might finish the form and just forget to press submit. So it just increases the possible areas of friction that a user may encounter before converting. But if you can have them convert inside the chat without leaving, so for example by just submitting their details to the AI chatbot, answering a few questions, perhaps even your AI chatbot can book events directly to your calendar, which it can, by the way. That makes the process of conversion so much easier and so much more seamless for the people that talk to your AI chatbot. That's what you want to do. And now we move on to the seventh step in this process. And I'll be honest with you, this step is the most neglected I've ever seen in any single AI chatbot out there. Most businesses just completely refuse or ignore doing this step, but it's extremely profitable if you actually implement it. This is logging. Essentially, how it works is after every single conversation has been had with your AI chatbot, that data from the conversation needs to be logged to a database so that you can come back and analyze it later. If you want to log every single message that is sent by your AI chatbot and to your AI chatbot in a database. The reason for this is essentially you're getting the opportunity to speak with your leads. These are people who are likely to end up buying from your business. And as a result, you don't want to waste that chance by just completely throwing away the conversation, that data after it's done. That conversation is literally a goldmine of problems that they're facing, services that you can add to your offering, solutions that you can add to your business, improvements you can add to your business, feedback about your industry that you can implement to stand out from your competitors. There's just so much amazing information and data you can get from analyzing these conversations that you don't want to put them to waste. One of the best use cases I've seen for the data logged from AI chatbot conversations is actually content creation. You see, most businesses struggle to find topics or content pieces that they can produce on social media that actually attract the right customers and that the people who want to buy from their business actually enjoy. But if you're talking to these people every single day, 24/7 in your AI chatbot, you can analyze those conversations to find the topics they're talking about, the problems they're talking about, and repurpose those into content ideas you can can produce in your social media that will actually attract those specific customers. It's honestly easy and it's like a flywheel. The content attracts more people to the AI chatbot. The AI chatbot creates more conversations. The conversations allow more content to be created. And as a result, you can scale your business way faster just by having an AI chatbot that you analyze its conversations with leads and customers. And you can also use the logs with your AI chatbot to make your service or product better and have better targeting. So you can analyze the people that are talking to it, the kind of problems they face, like I said, and then use that to understand who you should really be targeting to get as much as possible out of your marketing, or even the things they're complaining about, so that you can create a better service or product. So if you want to actually have an AI chatbot that doesn't just convert leads but helps you grow your business, this 7th step is what you must never forget when you build an AI chatbot. Have a database. I personally use Airtable that allows you to log all the conversations and put them in there that you can then analyze either with AI or manually to understand how you can improve your business. Now, your next step is literally to just take a piece of paper and go through every single one of these stages, writing out how you would plan the conversation for your AI chatbot to make sure that it fits this framework before you build it. Now, it will probably take you about 20 minutes or so, but I can literally do it for you and with you if you book a call with the link in the video description below. So book a call and we can get this sorted out for your business so that you can understand the exact AI chatbot that you need, the exact hook you would have, the introduction, how you would transition, the exact way of demonstrating expertise, the qualification questions we would ask, the call to action we would have, and exactly how you would log the data when building an AI chatbot for your business. So book a call with the link below and let's get this sorted out for your business.